Cool Figure TV. Revolutionary salute. Revolutionary salute. Like, share, subscribe. Welcome to the House of Revolution. You know I'm your humble host, the Y'all Mean Revolution, and we got a World War III alert. But first, be sure to wipe your feet. That means hit the like button. Like, share, subscribe, support the platform. Let everybody know Core Figure is live, the hardest working revolutionary in the business is back. Salute, Queen. And yes, we will get to the World War III alert. Israel has done it. They tried it. But Iran stands tall through it all. Let's get right to it. Salute, family.
Hi, everybody. We're having Andrei Martyanov and Larry Johnson with us to talk about Israeli attack on Iran. Let's start with Larry. Larry, what are we witnessing right now from this attack on Iran?
Can you show the video? I've got the video proof of Israel's attack. I think this summarizes it. No, the other one.
The other one. Yeah, that's a good one.
Come on, man. He said Iran was like the Matrix,
and it looks like they're using Uzis.
Was blocking everything.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So that summarizes it. Israel announced with great fanfare, we've launched. And so, people start scrambling to the social media. And, there's people on rooftops in Tehran looking out. No fires, no explosions, no plumes of smoke. Oh, they did hear explosions. Those were the initial reports. And then they said, oh, that must have been Russian air defense going off, which it was, Russian and Iranian air defense. And then showed the other video that just surfaced. And it sure looks like these are some Iranian air-launched ballistic missiles, cruise missile types, coming in. This is in another part of described, I think, as eastern Iran. And you can say, here comes a missile. Whoops, there goes a missile. Here comes some more. They're gone.
CNN is showing none of this.
So what happened?
CNN is showing none of this. That's why I'm starting this live, bringing this straight to y'all. CNN, fake news, don't want to talk about the humiliation. Russia prepared Iran for this. Plenty of advanced air defense systems, plenty of missiles hunting these rockets. Now, so whatever you hear the fake news saying, they won't show these videos that this CIA expert Larry Johnson is showing you. Iran still tall through it all, was ready for this. But Israel need to be ready for what's going to happen for them even trying this. Because Iran already put their reputation on the
line. Israel's arrogant enough that it thought its missiles would penetrate Iranian airspace.
Attack on Iran.
And if these initial reports are true, and I put the caveat if, but it certainly appears that Russia helped Iran prepare for this, that the Russian air defense systems.
I know y'all can only, that's why y'all in here. Salute to y'all. Y'all know y'all gonna get the truth right here. None of the fake news. We're gonna get right to it because it's still a World War III alert because Israel better understand Iran still takes this as an act of war. What if the air defense systems wasn't on point? What if the Russian help wasn't as great as it turned out to be? Then it could be some devastation. They can't let them get away with this.
Spectacularly, that the Iranian air defense system work, and it looks like they shot down all, if not most, of the Iranian missiles. We've not seen any of the social media.
Israeli missiles.
The Israeli missiles. All these I countries are confusing me, but I think if that turns out to be the fact, I bet Russia's going to put its hand around Iran's shoulder and say, "Okay, big guy, you defeated the Israelis. You don't need to strike back. You've shown them in the last 25 days you can penetrate them anytime you want, and you've just shown them that they can't touch you." So if this could be a good news moment.
Yeah. Andre, go ahead. Your
No, I
take.
mean, it's very easy to know what is happening there
Nope.
in terms
Should
of
not let the Israelis get away with attempting this.
what the toolkit Israel uses. The toolkit is pretty limited, actually, unless we go talking about the intercontinental ballistic missile Jericho 3. You know, it is intercontinental depending on the payload. But I
Famous
mean,
test
usually,
from
most likely it was
US,
Jericho
Russian,
2.
and Iranian
It's a
defense
standard ballistic
like excellent right
missile,
now.
you know, so that easily interceptable with the more modern air defense systems. And they have this thing, at least that's the rumor, that it's called Popeye Turbo. Popeye itself is a cruise missile with a range of about 300 kilometers. There's no way Israel can touch Iran with this missile. They theoretically can get this Popeye if it exists at all. I mean, and you know, Israel loves to bluff about how great they are, how they develop all those super duper, you know, wonder weapons and things of this nature. But even if they assume that it is true, so they need to get to about Erbil, you know, to at least try to touch, let's say, Tehran suburbs. They can attack Tabriz, maybe, I don't know. But there is another thing, obviously, and that was the rumor which was circulating since 2015. I would say they allegedly have some cruise missile with a range of 1,500 kilometers, which is the submarine launched. That means it's very limited inventory there. They can launch probably 3-4 of them. And they have those German-built Dolphin submarines, so they can theoretically launch those. But those are subsonic, and in order for them to even reach Tehran, they need to be literally stuck near the shore of Israel, you know, so they can go out to sea for like, I don't know, 10 miles in order for them to have at least range. Anything which is going out there from the Eastern Mediterranean closer to the, more into the sea, it's not going to reach it. And then, of course, as I already everybody stated, and I was at nauseam, as Larry correctly stated, if what we see and looks like nothing penetrated in Tehran, I mean, simply nothing exploded, everything was intercepted, evidently. It's Russia's ISAR, intelligence, surveillance, and recon. They had the early warning. And right now, it's just basically primarily PR, ballet. They try to kind of arrange things that next morning to say, "Ooh, we had like 100, aircraft, among them F-35s," and think, "Okay, sure, yeah, that's whatever." And there will be brainwashed people, especially among Christian Zionists in United States. Yeah, 100 planes. Yeah, 2,000 kilometer attack. Sure. Yeah, cutting edge F-35. Yes. Absolutely. So yeah, it's PR BS. We'll have to wait and see post-battle assessment. Whatever penetrated. They probably got some leakers. But we don't know what they had. We know that Iran has its own pretty capable air defense systems, and then there is Russia, and so there we go.
It seems that they're trying to attack, Larry, military bases, no nuclear facilities, oil facilities, power grids. And do you think that the latest visit of Antony Blinken was about this, the way that they're going to attack Iran?
Well, yeah, I mean, that's what the Israelis were saying they're going to do. But I'm a big believer in social media and instant social media. So Israelis have cell phones. They take videos. Iranians have cell phones. You're Iranian. You got a cell phone? And you're able to take videos, right? Okay. So when these attacks are being launched, I don't care where you're launching them, there's always somebody with a cell phone. And they're cranking it out, and they're taking the pictures just like we saw that one. And it's either going to show, as it did in the case of Israel, where missile after missile after missile was coming in and hitting the ground. Maybe 5% were intercepted, if that. Almost all of them got through. And that was the video evidence. That wasn't anybody that That wasn't anybody saying, oh, this is what we accomplished. Just take the video evidence. And so if Israel had actually hit these targets, I'm sure there would be videos surfacing because Iran doesn't have that kind of control over people's social media yet, that they'd be posting it up and man, there'd be flames going and bombs going off. And, you know, it looked like that scene from Leslie Nielsen's movie, Police Story. Nothing to see here, folks. Move along. But we didn't see that. So whatever Israel's intent was, I think their generals are sitting back, and I think the boys in the Pentagon too are going, oh, Jesus Christ. They stopped it. I mean, 100 planes and, you know, at least 100 missiles or more, and they stopped it. That, you know, I was extremely worried, and I just posted as well in my piece that I just put up, which was one reason I was late. Conversation with Alistair Crook yesterday about options. What were we going to see with Iran and with Israel, the responses? And this is the happiest of outcomes, because if Iran comes out of this unscathed, they're not going to have an incentive to launch more missiles and inflict significant damage on Israel. Israel's going to escape a bullet this time.
No, they won't.
Yeah. And you're absolutely right.
Andre.
Oh, okay.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
No, I mean, they're probably those generals sitting like this with fingers crossed, like, oh God, let it fail, because what is going to fly in response could be absolutely devastating for Israel, you know. So
right.
Not all of them are complete idiots. I mean, they understand the technical parameters and operational issue related to the launches. So, and yeah, it's in Israel's interest to kind of calm it down now, you know. So that's what it is.
Larry, is Israel deterred, in your opinion?
I hope so, because, you know, there are at least some rational generals still there, I think, because some of those rational generals were putting out reports, hey, we've accomplished our objectives in Lebanon and southern Lebanon, so we're going to start pulling the troops back. They didn't accomplish their objectives. They're getting too many of them killed, too many tanks destroyed, and they weren't making any progress. So, I mean, it's a new world now. This is not 2006 where Israel took a beating. They'll take a far more serious beating. This may actually lead to some upheaval within the Israeli Netanyahu's cabinet now. That, okay, we tried it your way and it didn't work. Now there are other options. Okay, well we're gonna hit them with nukes, and I guarantee you, Russia and China are not going to sit back idly and say, oh, okay, that's okay, we'll let that happen. No. They want to de-escalate this thing, and we were Israel's insistence that it was going to strike back. And I said today with the judge, yeah, they're going to strike back. And Ray was saying, nah, I think they'll wait till after. And I'm not trying to call Ray out on this. I mean, because he had a legitimate and a reasonable analytical conclusion. But what factors into my assessment is you got some crazy Zionists who are not rational. They're not using logic.
Yeah, not jobs completely, and yeah.
Andre, your take about?
No, I mean, what I absolutely agree. I absolutely agree with Larry. The dance now, the ballet, this choreography, you know, on their part will be how not to get a response. Because if Iran would be really pissed off, we know it can absolutely, I mean, damage the, you know, obviously Iranians not going to attack the civilian areas, but they will respond to practically every single important military installation in Israel, including, by the way, the naval base, where they will sink pretty much most. Well, I'm pretty sure they by now took out the whole Israeli Navy to the sea, you know, just to disperse and not be subjected to the response. But the point is, militarily, Iran is much more powerful than Israel, with the exception of the nuclear weapons, which everybody knows Israel doesn't have and never had, and probably will never have. No, I'm BSing you. Obviously, they have. If that's their Samson option, you know, like if the state of Israel is, you know, somehow is facing eradication, they will take everybody around, you know, with them, using nuclear weapons. The problem, of course, nobody really cares about Israel's existence as long as they adhere to the at least basic rules, which have been, negotiated through the United Nations. Of course, they will not, because Larry is absolutely correct. There are a bunch of the Zionists nut jobs. They are crazy. They are fanatics. And guess what? These fanatics, you cannot explain to them that militarily you're not significant guys. You're second tier, if not the third tier army. And your air defense is primarily its PR, together with whatever your strike capabilities are in terms of conventional weapons. So Iran already demonstrated to them. So, and this is, as I already stated, now it's all about the escalation. Obviously, Russia, as Larry correctly stated, will grab, Iran by shoulders, says, buddy, you good. You showed them, jerks, And so I don't know what the United States will do, but again, in the United States is the in this respect is, especially in terms of the policy, foreign policy on the Middle East, is the Israel. It's extension of Israel. U.S. Congress is completely subverted and corrupted by Israel. So is Biden administration, which has Zionists and Israeli forces practically in every single important position. So how will they react? I don't know. Those people, many of those people are not normal people. They are not rational. They're fanatics.
We had a amazing picture about Israel before all of these conflicts started in the Middle East, Larry. About the intelligence, about the military power of Israel. Right now, it seems that everything is just melting down. How do you see the Netanyahu administration and the way that they could achieve this type of, in terms of their military achievements, their intelligence achievements, and right now they're in Gaza, they're in southern part of Lebanon, they're in a conflict with Iran, they want to go to war with Syria. I don't know. The way that he's trying to manage the situation, how do you see the picture of Israel today, compare it with the picture of Israel before October 7th?
Well, they keep looking in the mirror, telling themselves they're the fairest of all. They don't recognize that they're 80 years old with saggy skin and breasts hanging to their knees, okay? Just get that image in your mind.
Yeah, thank you very much. Now I'm going to go
to Israel. Let's step back and let's do an objective comparison. Israel has put its army, a significant portion of it, with Air Force, with artillery, with tanks, with mortars, against basically an unarmed Palestinian population in a 134 square mile area. And they've been fighting for 13 months and they haven't been able to stop it. They haven't been able to pacify it, even though they've killed lots of women, lots of children, bombed hospitals, bombed schools, bombed churches and mosques. Russia, in just the past 2 months, in the Kursk area, has taken back territory twice the size of the Gaza Strip, going against actually well-armed troops that have tanks, that have some military experience, and the Ukrainians weren't able to stop the Russians. So just by virtue of comparison, Israel gets to pretend that it's the greatest military power in the Middle East simply because it's the big fat bully in the sandbox and all the other little kids are much smaller and don't have the same toys. And now Israel has actually come up against a peer, and a peer that's got some support of a first world power like Russia and China, and access to their intelligence. Not to say that Iranian intelligence is inadequate, but when you compare that, this should force Israel to wake up a little bit and say, maybe we're not as good as we thought we were. Because tomorrow they're going to, when the headlines clear, and it's going to become apparent that there was no significant damage in Iran based upon the early reports. Now that may change, and if they got some through, then well, let's put it this way: if they got through and damaged Iran, then Iran's going to strike back at Israel, and this will escalate. But it's just watching if you will, the body language of some of the Iranian commentators, like Professor Morandi, who you've had on your podcast. They're very relaxed. You're not seeing any kind of panic, any kind of uproar, any kind of emotional outpouring on the part of Iranians. They're like, hey, cue the Peggy Lee song. Is that all there is?
Yeah. Andre, what would be the outcome of these interaction between Israel and Iran on the concept that the Arab states, together with Turkey, had on Israel? And right now, it seems that the picture is changing in their mind.
I have one guy from Iran. I have more people on my blog from Iran, but he's very active, a very intellectual, very well-educated man. He talks about there is a shift which happened already, and it's in progress. It's kind of expanding and all that. You suddenly have and of which I warned for many years. Actually, you have a Shiite state, Iran, standing up to Israel, and by the virtue of winning this fight, and winning it with the flying colors. Can you imagine what it happens now in Sunni environment there? They have been Sunni Arabs have been boys for the beating. They've been beaten non-stop for decades. And suddenly you have the Shiite state advanced with advanced technology of own making, no less, okay? And having now two huge military and economic powers, as Larry correctly stated, behind them, China and Russia. This is a different game in the Middle East. This is not what it used to be. You can go out and bribe, and there is a joke. Obviously, many Arab people, some of them, my friends, could be offended, but say you cannot buy Arab, you can only rent him. But you could go bribe in all those Arab capitals, and nothing's going to happen. In Israel will sit, pretty, of course, having United States subverted completely to this agenda. Now this all changed. Iran doesn't care about United States. Iran doesn't care about being bribed. They have a command control system, which is, and of course, personnel, which is dedicated to the cause. And now, after what we saw, and world changed, okay? And especially after the 7th of October, we saw what they did to civilian population. This is unacceptable. It's war crime. It's crime against.
Revolutionary salute to our Queen Toolbox Evolution for the donation to the war chest. Say thanks to our Either Right brother. I appreciate the donation, Queen. Appreciate your support. Revolution is a way of life. Salute.
Against humanity. Period. There is no other way of going about it. And if there was a sympathy on the part of Israel when on October 7th, after what they committed there, it's gone. So, and you have this completely different geopolitical dynamics, and it's all kind of like in the last 2 weeks, it's just crazy. Okay, we never saw anything like this in the world. This is not like, oh yeah, Soviet Union, United States, Nixon calls Brezhnev, Kissinger flies to Moscow and things like that. No, it doesn't work like this anymore. So, and it's the kind of part and parcel of the larger issue, which we see of the whole, Israel is one of the indicators of the combined West, going down, and this is what is happening. And I hope so that they will calm things down a little bit. We don't need $8 a gallon gas because American economy will implode, okay? And Iran can easily do that. They will close the Hormuz Strait, and that's it. That's going to be it. And there's no force in the world which can unplug it in if they decide to close it.
Larry.
Yeah, no, I agree with Andre. This, again, if these preliminary reports and what we're seeing on social media pan out, then this is going to really reverberate throughout the Middle East, because for the first time, the Egyptians who got beat by the Israelis, the Jordanians who got beat by the Israelis, the Syrians who got beat by the Israelis, they're going to go, Iran beat them. Iran stopped them. Saudi Arabia is going to be going, okay, we better check which way the wind's blowing, because they're already warming up with relations with Iran, and they'll say, you know what, we better be friendlier with them, because they've demonstrated the ability to stop a massive Israeli airstrike, if what Israel says is true, that inflicted some, if no damage. But it certainly didn't shut down Tehran, didn't shut down the airports, didn't shut down the military bases around Tehran. Now, the reports from outside of in other areas, maybe it's different. But like I said, and this is where it turns bad. If Israel succeeded in hitting some of those targets, then Iran's going to strike back and hit Israeli targets. And apart from what Iran's doing on that front, it's going to be in a stronger position to both resupply and enhance Hezbollah's capabilities. You already saw it today. Hezbollah launched 60 missiles into Iran, and Iran wasn't able to stop most of them. And that's just Hezbollah. And so the Houthis, I'm sure, they're itching to get some payback in this too. So Israel, Israel has kicked 2 or 3 hornets' nests, and it doesn't have the wherewithal to stop all the stains.
It seems what's happening, Andre, between Iran and Israel is going to boost the morale on the part of Lebanese, on the part of Hezbollah in their fight against
absolutely
Israel.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. I mean, a moral factor of morale, and sometimes even such as higher emotion as inspiration, is gigantic. And especially it is gigantic for people who have their very serious metaphysical cause, as the Muslims of the area have. And as I already stated, it's just shocking. Many actually Sunnis, such as kind of leaning Shiite, my God, this is just a tectonic shift in their psychology and things of this nature. So, and again, I mean, Israel is not doing well in Lebanon. Okay, let's put it this way. So evidently, somebody in the general staff of Israeli army has to, if they have guts, if they have gonads, to stand up and say, we already know one guy actually retired, so to speak. Just abandoned the whole thing, said, I'm sorry, I retire and all that. So some people have to say to Netanyahu, dude, wake up, everything you know about Israel, from Hollywood. And Tom Clancy's writing. That's pretty much it. They created this, delusion about their own greatness. Well, in reality, they have no resources to fight long war. Iran does, for example. Iran can simply outlast them. If not for the United States, Israel would have probably by now ceased to exist. It would dissolve, as Dmitry Orlov correctly states. Not that I wish Israelis to dissolve. No, by no means. I see no problem with Israel and Jewish people having their own state. The problem, what they are doing right now, has nothing to do with them having their own state. They are involved in the business of genocide now, and this must stop. And we see the reaction. We see the sort of expansion of this situation, and the responses. Iran is responding. Iran demonstrated perfectly it has capability to do whatever it decides to do with Israel. While Israel cannot do the same, by the way. That's a little bit different story. The only thing Israel can do is just launch the suicidal attack with the Jericho 3 or whatever with the nuclear weapon. But then, we'll have the completely different world we live in.
Larry, is it going to help those people in Washington who are trying to put some sort of pressure on Netanyahu in order to bring some sort of sanity to what's going on in Gaza? Is it going to help them to make Netanyahu understand what's going on really in the Middle East? No,
there's no such people. If there were such people, yes, but they're not. The U.S. strategy, if you listen to Blinken both yesterday and today, is he's trying to tell the Israelis, hey, you've achieved all your strategic objectives in Gaza. Now they haven't, but he's telling them that. That's how we see it. You've won there. You've got rid of the Hamas leadership. You've eviscerated the Hezbollah leadership. Take the win, guys. Declare victory and, sheathe your sword. Israel's not going to do that. And now Israel is going to be, they're going to be quite confused. They had that emotional high when, boy, the pagers went off and they killed Nasrallah, and then they killed Nasrallah's replacement, and they killed Nasrallah's replacement, and they killed Sinwar. And, oh, man, this killing is so good. And what is at the bottom? The pace of Israeli casualties in Lebanon is quintuple what it was in Gaza, because they're going up actually against a real military force. The Hamas fighters are best a guerrilla and insurgent force. They're not battle hardened by any stretch. There's some good fighters in that group, but they're by and large they're amateur fighters. Hezbollah is not amateur hour. They are combat trained. They've been in the field fighting against radical Sunni Islamists over the last 10 years in Syria, and they've been fighting Israel all along. But they're also pretty patient. They're not reckless. They are not the suicide bombers that Hollywood likes to portray in movies. These wild-eyed, crazy people who are just overcome with emotion. No, they're actually they're far more rational than the Israelis. And I think this attack, once it is clear that it was a failure, that's going to create some real consternation in Washington, because they're going to back up and say, well, what the hell? What the hell happened? Because now their option is: do we have to attack Iran? I guarantee you, if the United States tries to attack Iran, they're going to get a good helping of what the Israelis got served today.
Yeah, here is what Israelis are talking about.
2 months of continuous attacks from the regime in Iran against the state of Israel. Right now, the Israel Defense Forces is conducting precise strikes on military targets in Iran. The regime in Iran and its proxies in the region have been relentlessly attacking Israel since October 7th on 7 fronts, including direct attacks from Iranian soil. Like every other sovereign country in the world, the state of Israel has the right and the duty to respond. Our defensive and offensive capabilities are fully mobilized. We will do whatever necessary to defend the state of Israel and the people of Israel.
Sure. Yeah, what else can he say? Look at Konashenkov, Lieutenant General Konashenkov, the press secretary, spokesperson for Russian Defense Ministry. He doesn't wave his hands. He just sits there as a computer narrating. Okay, we captured this. This is like, you can see yourself. And then I like how he does it in English. It's obviously addressed towards the Christian Zionist strata in the United States, because this is where the power of Israel rests with in the United States. So without the United States, as I already stated, at this stage, as it exists today, Israel will simply implode, period. So, and economically, it's already imploded, essentially, and obviously, I heard that they're giving out free, the tourist visas and, to Israel, to visit all those wonderful beaches. So, yeah, hotels are almost free, so, so it's just, what else he can say? He has to come out, he has to say those things, and reality, of course, we know the reality.
Larry, the way that he's trying to picture that each and every country that is in conflict right now with Israel is Iran is behind all of them.
Yeah.
Iran is it doesn't seem that Houthis are all in hand of Iran. Iraqis, Syrians, Hamas, Hezbollah. Do you think, does it have anything to do with the reality of what's going on in the Middle East?
Well, let's first deal with the Zionist, I'll call them the minority that is in Netanyahu's cabinet, the Smotrich, the Ben-Gvirs. they have been very outspoken over the last week about destroying the Al-Aqsa Mosque, about taking Lebanon, Syria, Iraq, Jordan, Saudi Arabia, Egypt, and getting rid of those people so that Israel can occupy all that territory. Now, I mean, it's such an astonishing statement that you think it was a skit crafted by Monty Python, but it wasn't. They were dead serious. And I think some of those other, the other Arab and Muslim nations are looking now going, wait a damn minute. You know, we're not, no, you're not going to do that. Israel doesn't have resources, as Andre pointed out astutely. Iran has resources. Russia has resources. China has resources. The United States has resources, but we're in debt up to our eyeballs. Europe doesn't have resources. So what we're witnessing is a change in the world from what we were accustomed to with the, let's call it the post-colonial empire, still dominating and trying to control the political scene. And that's, that's one of the reasons for the rise of BRICS. They're sick and tired of a United Nations Security Council where these two poodles that are called England and France get to have a veto power when there are actual nations which have far more resources, far more people than them, and frankly are far more consequential to the future of the world than either England or France. England and France are going to be a footnote in history. And the failure to come to grasp with that, I think this, if this Israeli attack failed as it appears to have failed, then it is going to be a watershed moment, because the mythology of Israeli military technological supremacy will be destroyed.
Andre.
Yeah, absolutely. That's what Larry is correctly saying. Especially when speaking about England or United Kingdom. We can thank that's Oxford idiots and Mr. Schofield, who wrote their Bible in such a way, with such comments, that we have a bunch of people who believe all kinds of, well, it's called the Schofield Bible for a reason, and it's actually rejected by the church at large, Christian church, because obviously it's a complete, it's abuse of the classic biblical texts, and that's main thrust of the thing. But this is where the power of Israel is. In technological ways and in economic ways, Israel is, it's not even the first 30 countries in the world in terms of the real economy. They love to talk and brag about their, intellectual power, and no doubt about it, there are many wonderfully intelligent people there, and they contributed quite a bit to the world, no doubt about it. But the point is, Israel loves to, also to paint with a broad brush over all Jews, for example. By far, not all Jews support what is happening to start with, okay?
Right.
I'm not talking about especially the special types of the classic, with the Judaists who altogether, they condemn Israel as the entity, or the whole other story. I don't know. I'm not going there into the theology. I'm no specialist in that. And so, when you look at this, somebody has to tell those guys, as Larry correctly stated, with what force are they going to occupy those countries? I wonder. Do they even understand what will be such combined arms, and of course after that the police operation require? Probably more. Well, every single person in Israel, if anybody is willing to go that way. These people do not understand war. They live off this 1967 in 1973. But even in 1973, they sustained a catastrophic losses with their air force from Soviet air defense. So, and the only thing they have, this Rimon 20 operation, which is, wasn't a real operation. The Soviet and Israeli pilots negotiated that they will meet in the air, and Israelis kicked Soviet ass, not so much because Soviets were not good, because obviously the Soviet air-to-air missiles at that time were not good. So actually they hit twice but they didn't explode, So it's that's their mythology. They live by that, What many of them do not like to recall is, of course, the sinking of the, as we all know, 1967, So, and what can I say? The more they get rid of their delusions about their own Israel's greatness, the better it will be them. It will be for them and for Israel, by the way. Eventually, they either find the modus vivendi with Arabs, with Palestinians, or they will go, as Larry said it, as United Kingdom, a footnote in the history, essentially, because they will dissolve. Simple as that.
Larry, do we have, from what we've seen so far, do we have sane military commanders in Israel to understand the way that Pentagon put an end to sending long-range missiles to Ukraine? Right now, these people being in charge and advising the Netanyahu administration not to escalate the situation.
There are some, but I'm not sure what degree of power or influence they have. And by virtue of being good military officers, they're not necessarily going to buck the political chain of command. But they're also going to face a crisis of conscience. And that's one of the interesting things starting to emerge, that just as happened to the German Wehrmacht as they went into Poland and Ukraine in 1941 and then into 1942, and they were the soldiers, the regular Wehrmacht, not the SS, but the Wehrmacht was being asked to shoot women and children. And as a consequence of that, the German commanders started complaining because it was suffering a real decrease in their combat effectiveness. There was causing mental illness, because unless you're just a complete sociopath, where you can think you can kill anything at any time, most human beings still have a conscience, and the guilt can weigh upon them. And there was a story in the Jerusalem Post the other day about this one bulldozer driver who had been a paratrooper. His father of 41, killed himself. Why? Because he'd been ordered to drive his bulldozer over what he called were terrorists, and I guarantee you some of them were women and children. And the screams and the images of that haunted him, and he took his life. And so you're seeing that kind of emotional toll increasing. The generals will start paying attention to that, and they'll recognize that if they have any hopes of saving the army, they're going to have to do something about that, or else they're going to lose the army.
Yeah, and especially when you look attentively at children from Gaza. Good Lord, I mean, not only they're hungry, they are suffering from, and it's just absolute crime against humanity. How do you remain an army? How do you remain in armed forces when, well, in Russian combat manuals, it is strictly stated how you treat people, not just because of Geneva Convention and things like that, because it's stated. You harm civilians, you disgraced your motherland and your armed forces. You will be court-martialed, and as it was the case in, for example, Red Army, especially people don't understand, 800 people have been executed in the front of the rank and file, including officers, for marauding and some for raping and even killing German civilians. Despite the fact that, of course, what Germans did to Russians is just, and Soviet people is just incomprehensible. Many people say that was it was strange that they didn't do more. So, and what I'm saying is that Larry is absolutely correct. Once you're demoralized, and IDF is demoralized, I can tell you. I saw the photos of Israeli soldiers crying in the unit. You know what? I lost my friends, we graduated Naval Academy and things like that. You get there, something in your throat. Some people may cry, but I never saw that unit sits and cries, because one of their buddies was killed. No, you actually don't react like this. But I saw the photo. You can find it on the internet. They literally sit and, I mean, oh my God, they're completely distraught emotionally. So that's not a good army. I can tell you that. Not that we are not allowed to have our feelings. Not that we don't like to really, be sad when we lose our friends, and brothers in arms and things like that. But this is completely different. It's like, my God, what is that? I mean, is it like what, collective crying session? Something like that. That's not a good army. Let me tell you.
Larry, here is a Israeli channel. It says that there are two possibilities for this attack. The first one is Israel failed to hit anything. And the second is censorship in Iran is at its peak. That no video targets
Man,
I
they're
can
really good.
guarantee you that it's not the case in Iran. Everybody can take a picture, can take a video and send it.
Well, it's ironic that they would push that, because the one country in that region that routinely restricts reporting and imprisons reporters is Israel. So, but again, in this day and age with the cell phones, unless you completely shut off the electricity and you shut down any access to internet,
and unless it is North Korea, then
right, you're right. Exactly. It just, the Israelis are going to really they're going to be struggling to cope with this, because they've told themselves you can't be beat. I mean, it's sort of like what, and forgive me for this, Andre, but what happened to the Soviet hockey team when the Americans beat them back in, what was it, 80?
Yeah, everybody knows that. That was a freaking shock, man.
Yeah, and it's like, oh, well, what happened? So this could be Israel's hockey moment.
Let's talk about a Israeli journalist. His name is Elior Levy. Today, he was saying that I wonder where those who decided that Hezbollah was collapsing are. The people who are talking about that Hezbollah is collapsing. And I also asked what happened to the document that revealed that Hezbollah no longer has any members. When you look at a journalist talking about this stuff and the way that he's believing that Hezbollah was removed, was defeated, how about the public opinion in Israel? It seems that this administration is totally capable of convincing the Israeli people that they're winning, they're defeating each and everybody in the region.
Yeah,
Andre.
Yeah, it's just that's what they do. It actually projects itself extremely well on the Washington too. There are some people who still believe that they are winning. So much winning is unbelievable. And those again already stated. And I believe it was already Mr. Putin through Mr. Peskov today. I made a video on that. That Peskov stated openly, saying Wall Street Journal or any other American media, it's a journalism malpractice. We don't take them seriously, and you shouldn't. And you have people literally in State Department and maybe in Pentagon who believe that, because I think so. It's a mental breakdown at this stage. We have the social factors, which influence. This is a larger groups of people. They behave definitely different. When you act individually. So, and yeah, sure, they're great. They're winning, especially as we see now in Lebanon. But if you ask me, there were people in CIA, in Pentagon, in fact, that was the majority, who were saying the same way about Russia on the eve of February 24, 2022. They were the guys who stated that Putin's regime is on the last legs. We just need to, repeating, quoting Hitler, kick the door and it would fly over the hinges. They really believe that. There are military people in Pentagon I can tell you well, the types of Ben Hodges, of Petraeus, of Keane, and things of this nature, who evidently do not understand what military power is. They have no clue, apart from them being amateurs in operational planning. They are. So, and these were the people who said, oh, it's okay. Let's hit them with the best, at that time, the best army, west of Moscow. Ukrainian armed forces supported by the whole infrastructure of NATO. Well, guess what? Where we are today. There you go.
Larry, as we talk right now, the Israeli army declares that the attack on Iran has ended. It seems that no more attacks going to come from Israel to Iran.
Mm-hmm.
And your take on how the Netanyahu administration was capable of convincing the Israelis that they're winning in Lebanon?
They haven't necessarily yet, because what the Israelis are saying is, number one, they can't return 75, 80,000 people back to northern Israel because it's still under attack. That Haifa, Tel Aviv are being hit every day with rockets and missiles out of southern Lebanon. That despite the Israeli Air Force claim that they destroyed, the majority of Hezbollah missiles, that's just an Israeli claim. They have absolutely no evidence to back that up. The smart thing now would be like Israel did in 2006, declare victory and retreat.
Yeah, and retreat, yeah.
And then hope that they can work out a negotiated settlement. But I think from the standpoint of Hezbollah, they're not going to stop, because I think Israel has crossed some red lines with them, and Hezbollah is going to continue to inflict enough damage to try to force Israel to make concessions, and those concessions can't be made with Ben Gvir and Smotrich in the government. So the government in Israel will have to change. And they'll have to bring in some people who are more secular, more rational, to hopefully reach a negotiated settlement and separate the sides. But, I don't see an end in sight to this. But what we do see, whichever way this went, if Israel's failure in this attack, if that's what it is, then that hurts Israel. If Israel succeeded in attacking Iran would have caused massive destruction in Israel, killed, thousands, not tens of thousands of people, and destroyed significant military assets. They didn't try to do that on October 1st. They were simply saying, hey, we can reach out and touch you, and you can't stop us, and let us show you. But so either way, it's a lose-lose for Israel. Israel can't kill its way to peace.
Yeah, and something tells me that Mr. Netanyahu may be contemplating right now how to dial Moscow and talk to his, who used to be his friend, Mr. Putin, if Putin agrees, of course, to even pick up the phone and talk to him. Because Vladimir Putin is not disposed now towards talking to this guy.
And here is the latest picture from Iran. This is a live picture from Iran.
Yeah, a lot of damage. I can just literally see.
Oh man, see that big cloud of smoke in the back? Oh, those are mountains. My bad.
Yeah. So that's horribly damaged. It's
look at all the fire and plumes of smoke.
Yeah, it just absolutely. Yeah, I didn't see a single flash from what I saw, which would indicate the heat on something. So
the one thing we don't know is, did any of the air defense missiles take out any planes? Or did they just simply decide to concentrate only on the missiles? And I think Andre made the other very observant point, as we would expect him to, that Russian ISR probably gave the Iranians enough advance warning. Okay, hey, they're coming. And these are the vectors, and this is where you need to be prepared. And tell you what, it would not surprise me that Russian intelligence has assets inside the Israeli military, because you got a lot of Russians there, and as good as people think Mossad is, Russia's intelligence is far better.
we've seen some footages. I don't know if you've seen that the fighter jets are just flying over Jordan. It seems that they were going to Iran, but we haven't seen so far any footage coming to Iran that they were attacking Iran. Nothing of that nature
Yeah.
so far. Yeah, I think we can put an end to this live.
Yeah, well, I think we've covered the territory. I always appreciate being with
Welcome back to my channel. Want to play this video from Daniel Hagari. Let's see what he has to say.
I can now confirm that we have concluded the Israeli response to Iran's attack against Israel. We conducted targeted and precise strikes on military targets in Iran, thwarting immediate threats to the state of Israel.
Okay, so just shut up, Daniel. Just shut up. The attack you're talking about was so minuscule, so puny, so insignificant that people are mocking you guys. So please shut up. And I'll prove to you. I know a lot of you are thinking, oh, no, you don't know anything. What happened to Iran after the strike? Oh, I know a lot. And I will show you what I know. But let's actually share with you this particular article. So Israel pounded, again, pounded, quote unquote, Iran with a series of airstrikes early Saturday, saying it was targeting military targets in retaliation for the barrage of ballistic missiles the Islamic Republic fired upon Israel earlier this month. Explosions could be heard in the Iranian capital, Tehran, though there was no immediate information on damage or casualties. The attack risked pushing the arch enemies closer to an all-out war at a time of spiraling violence across the Middle East. Okay, I'm not going to be reading the rest of it, but this is a pro-Zionist news article talking about how ferocious, how effective the attack was, but it is not what it sounds like. Now, let's see what this another article is talking about. So there is this article that talks about in Washington. Okay, in Washington, a senior administration official said that U.S. was notified in advance of the Israeli strikes, but did not take part in the military operation. We'll talk about US's involvement, but before I move on, just to remind you guys, most of my viewers are not subscribed. If you happen to be one of them, consider subscribing now. Let's take a look at how this has failed miserably. This strike, so-called strike on precision strike. So if you take a look at some of the social media posts, you can see actually some pictures and videos. So basically, this person who is following this, he's a journalist, he's following the news 24/7. His name is Sulaiman Ahmed, and he said, Israel attack on Iran failed. Israel attempted to target 3 bases in Tehran province, but Iran's air defense system has countered them all. And this source is coming from Mayadin. If you do not know, Mayadin, this is a news channel based in Lebanon, and they are also being banned. The journalists are facing prosecution in US and some other Western countries because they believe Mayadin is talking too much, as you can expect from the Western governments. Breaking what we know so far. So this is what is happening. Netanyahu and Gallant are currently in an underground bunker at the Ministry of Defense headquarters. They moved to the secure location during Israel's attack on Iran. This is quite interesting. I mean, Iranians should be going under bunker, but none of them go to under bunker, unlike the Zionists, the people of Israel, the Zionists. Once you have the siren turned on, you see all of them, millions of them will go under bunker immediately. The IDF claim, or ITF, Israeli Terrorist Forces claim, they targeted military sites in Iran. The White House was informed of Israel's attack on Iran shortly before it happened. Fars news agency reports that Israeli attacks targeted several military bases in western and southern Tehran. Some of the explosions were due to air defense response. Iran's Mehr news agency released a video showing the Tehran oil refinery is operating normally, contrary to social media claims of damage. IRINN reports that the loud explosions in Tehran were due to air defenses intercepting Israeli threats. Meanwhile, Tasnim news agency confirms that Operations are normal at both Imam Khomeini and Mehrabad airports in Iran. In other words, what is happening is absolutely nothing but some fireworks going into Iran. Now, I'm not going to be saying, well, these attacks, they were just completely for a show. No, Israel did want to target some sites and wanted to cause damage, but that was their intention. But that doesn't mean that this is what they will be following through with. Why? Because Iran, they are now dealing with Iran. They have seen what is happening right now in Lebanon with Hezbollah. Hundreds of their soldiers are getting killed. So if they become so serious and try to cause significant damage to Iran, and Iran retaliates, can you imagine what the situation would be for Israel? Now, there is this report. I want to show you this one. This guy is a US Air Force pilot, and people are saying on social media that this guy took off and he was on Israel trying to strike Iran on behalf of Israel. He said, I'm on the Holy Land. Holy Land. This is what he says. US Air Force Captain Daniel Alwan violated operational security by revealing that he is in Israel to prepare for a strike against Iran. Shortly after he made this post, he deleted it. Did the US Congress approve the use of US pilots in an act of war against Iran? I am going to be not shocked or surprised if that happened, that US will help Israel with their pilot and weapon, even though this is what US has said. Quote, we understand that Israel is conducting targeted strikes against military targets in Iran. This is coming from US official, as an exercise of self-defense, self-defense, and in response to Iran's ballistic missile attack against against Israel on October 1st, said Sean Savet, spokesman for the National Security Council. In other words, US is denying this outright, saying that no, we are not in this. We know what is happening, but we are not involved in this. But at the same time, we have people like Daniel Alwan, this pilot, who is he's bragging about his presence in Israel because he's going to go to Iran and strike Iran. US pilot exposed US involvement in Israel strike against Iran in now deleted tweets. Pentagon distanced themselves from the tweet saying US F-16s were in the area to protect Israel. Absolute BS. US is involved in this. They are helping Iran, but in disguise. They're not going to be making it public. They're not going to be letting anybody know that they're doing it. Why? Because as Iran promised that we are going to get rid of all of your military bases in the Middle East. So all of these bases will be targeted and you guys will be pulverized. That's what they said, and that's what they are going to do. But now, obviously, because US is like, okay, no, we cannot afford to do that. We cannot afford to be hit by Iran, because last time when they were hit, the soldiers, US soldiers, they're so traumatized. 8 of them or 9 of them had to go back to US right away, even though they were not hit directly. Remember General Qasem Soleimani, when he was assassinated by Trump, Iran said, we're going to retaliate against US. So they fired ballistic missiles in Iraq against the US military bases. So 8 of them were so shocked seeing those ballistic missiles, the power of it, that they were traumatized. There were some people, some soldiers, they lost their hearing side. That's what we have heard. But obviously, I believe the damage was much more than that. Now, this is what things get interesting. So, calling Israel's attack on Iran retaliatory and framing it as justified, while Iran's actually retaliatory strikes against Israel were framed as pure evil, irrational aggression, perfectly and encapsulates the genocidal depravity of the entire Western media and political classes. So, one thing we have to be very, very careful when we talk about this particular strike from Israel, the fireworks, okay, is that we need to frame it the right way. This is not a retaliatory strike by Israel on Iran this time. This is another aggression. This is another violation of Iran's sovereignty. This is another one of those evil that they're committing. This is another one of those massacres that they wanted to commit. They cannot, because, as I said, Iran is now prepared, and they're not Lebanon, they're not Gaza. So you go to Iran and you try to strike Iranian civilian, try to cause massacre, you will be massacred. But nevertheless, this is exactly what the media want us to believe, that this is a Israeli retaliation. Guys, you have to be very, very careful when you use this word. Do not say Israeli retaliation against Iran. This is Israeli violation of Iran. This is Israel's evil against Iran, just like they are committing evil in other places in the Middle East. Now, there is this funny video circulating on social media. As you can see, some of these Iranian people, they're looking at the sky, trying to find the Israeli fighter jets, warplanes coming to their airspace and bomb them, but they cannot find anybody. So they're just mocking, and this is on the social media. And this is exactly what it is. Because even if you say, okay, 5 strikes, because this is what was reported by Times of Israel, 5 strikes took place on Tehran. Even if you say, okay, agree, 5 strikes, like 5 strikes against Iran compared to those 200 ballistic missiles on Israel is really nothing. So people are mocking them on social media, and Daniel Hagari, the spokesperson for IDF, talks big. Oh, we have concluded operation. What did you do with this operation? Nothing. Now, Israel is spreading fake news about the attack by sharing video of some of the pictures from 2021. Again, this is also coming on social media. Anything you see, in other words, images, I'm not going to be showing this particular video because YouTube will censor me. But the point is, anything you see on social media that talks about, oh, this is the strike, this is how much damage Israel caused to Iran, be careful, because these are all fake news. Now, this is what I want to also make mention of. A few days ago, actually yesterday, not even a few days ago, Yoav Gallant said this: strike on Iran show the world Israel's might. Defense Chief Yoav Gallant. Strike on Iran will show world Israel's might. And we know what Israel's might is. Just fireworks. You cannot even touch Iran. Forget about striking them. But nevertheless, they have this, hubris.
They do
This guy is
thing
complete arrogant.
now.
Yoav Gallant, and he's just like his boss, and Netanyahu. They're very, very arrogant. They say, okay, so the world will see the might of Israel. Where is the where is it? Where is it? I don't see it. Like, by now, this is where things get very, very interesting. By now, Netanyahu, or Netanyahu, famously known, should be coming out and making a statement about this whole operation, because this is a major operation, and this is against a country, not against Hezbollah or not against Hamas. This is against a country. So you expect the head of the state will come out and make a statement that, yeah, we have conducted this airstrike, and this happened, that happened, and I have ordered, because this is what U.S. Administration they will do. Biden, Obama, Bush, all of this, they will come out and say, tonight I ordered my Air Force to strike. But we don't see that from Netanyahu. Why? It is because, number one, he knows coming out like that will be absolutely, humiliating, because when we will see the actual footages of the attack, we will know that this guy is just making some empty words, and his rhetoric and his words have lost credibility. I'm sure, though, Netanyahu will come in the next few hours and claim victory. Oh, the retaliatory was a lesson for Iran. What is coming in the future will be much more worse. Just like Marandi said, the Iranian response will be much harsher. This is what Netanyahu will claim, that the next time if Iran dares to attack us with ballistic missiles that made us panic and scared, we're going to, retaliate even much harsher, all the while lying. And number two reason is because Netanyahu right now is hiding. As I mentioned in the beginning of this video, he's hiding under bunker. He is taking shelter there. He is not going to come out until he's confirmed that Iran is not going to retaliate. Literally, until he is confirmed and being assured by Iran that, yeah, okay, so we'll let it go. Because Iran never wants a war. Until that happens, I personally believe that Netanyahu will not come out and make a statement. So, guys, this is a complete failure from Israel. Their aggression against this time Iran is a complete failure, and I'm not going to ever call it Israeli retaliatory attack. Sometimes I might say it because of what the Western media wants us to believe, but that is not what I mean. That is not what you should mean, because the Western media right now, they are brainwashing the people, the Western people, by saying, look, because of Iran, Israel had to do this. Because of Iran, because of
So as of right now, they tried, but they failed. Kofi,